Okay, so go ahead and click onto your first question. Okay, mine's going to look different than yours. Okay, so I see some of you just sitting there. Click on your first question so you can see it. Okay, so the question says, what provides the energy needed for evaporation to occur naturally in the water cycle? Well, I believe Julissa just answered this for us. Okay, Julissa, what did you say had to happen for evaporation to happen?
The sun heats up the... Wait.
You're right. It's the sun, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the sun has to provide that heat, right? So look at that picture that we just drew. Okay, if I have collection down here, the sun has to come down. It has to add heat to create that evaporation. Okay, so if you said the sun, you were correct. Okay, so let's go to this next one. Ooh, this is an interesting picture. Okay, so look at this picture. So think about the words that we just put into our picture that we just drew. What do you think A is out of those 4 words that we just put on this picture? Okay, somebody needs to mute themselves. Okay, so we're looking at A right here. So think about this picture that you drew. Where is A going to be? Okay, when you think you know, raise your hand. Okay, Rita, what do you think? What do you think A is going to be?
Evaporation.
Evaporation? Okay, do you guys agree with him? Okay, I see a lot of head nods. All right. What is B then?
The sun.
Okay, but raise your hand. B is not the sun. Victor, what is B? He's putting it in the chat. He says, well, no. Okay, so if A is evaporation, where does the evaporation go, guys? Look at your picture.
Condensation.
Okay, but would you please raise your hand and wait to be called on? This is not a free-for-all. Raise your hand. So, yes, that would be evaporation goes into condensation. Okay? Now, what's happening? This is a cloud. We didn't talk about. So, the clouds is the condensation, right? Okay? So, if the clouds are the condensation, which I just told you, what is D? Raising your hand. What would D be? Can Traylon? Okay, I'm not sure why you have your hand raised if you're not going to answer a question when I call on you. All right, Anthony, help him out. What is D?
Precipitation.
Precipitation. Yes, absolutely. Good. Okay, so now that we looked at the picture, the question says the labeled diagram shows the water cycle over the ocean. At which point is salt water being evaporated? So, without yelling, unmute all of you and tell me what letter is evaporation.
A.
A. Very good. Very good. Okay. All right, mute yourself, please. Okay, guys, anytime you have a question that is giving you some part of the water cycle, I want you to label it like that before you look at the question. All right? So the next one, number 3. Ooh, this looks like a home experiment. Okay, it says students built a model of the water cycle by putting water in the bottom of a plastic bottle and then shining a lamp on it. They observed tiny droplets appearing near the top of the bottle and larger drops sliding down the sides of the bottle. What part of the model demonstrates the ocean? Raise your hand if you think you know this answer. Okay, Stephanie, what do you think is the part of the model that represents the ocean?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Which part of this picture is the part that is representing the ocean?
The bottom of the bottle.
The bottom of the bottle. Very good. Okay, so what is this lamp, guys? What is that representing? You can unmute yourself and tell me. The lamp. The sun. Very good. Okay, so what would the tiny droplets up here be representing?
The cloud.
Okay, so that's the clouds, right? Okay, mute, please. Okay, that's the clouds. So that's really evaporation, right? Okay, turning into. All right, and then what would this be? The drops that are falling, what would that be?
Precipitation.
Precipitation. Good. Good. All right. Mute. All right, next question, number 4. Okay, here we have another water cycle. Okay, so like I said, before you look at the question, think about what the letters are representing. So raising your digital hand, what is A? Which one of those words is being represented by A? Alex E. What is being represented by A? Which one of those 4 words? Think about this picture that we just did. A is what? Okay, Rita, you want to help him out? What would A be? We can't hear you, babe. Unmute.
Evaporation.
Look what the direction it's going in. Is it going up or down?
It's going down.
It's going down. So it wouldn't be evaporation.
Precipitation.
Precipitation. Very good. Okay, so A is precipitation. Okay, so raising your hand, what is B? Abraham, what's B? B is down here. What would this be called? All right. Araya, help him out. What would B be called?
The runoff.
Runoff, yes. Okay. Or, I mean, yes, it would run off down this way, right? I think I probably would call that more collection or accumulation. Okay. But it could be called runoff depending on what they really want to know right here about this picture. Okay. All right. So what about C, guys? What would C be? Notice the direction of the arrow, right? This one's going up. So, Julissa, what would this be?
Evaporation.
Evaporation. Very good. Very good. All right, Israel, what would D be?
Condensation.
Condensation. Okay, very good. All right. So now that we've modeled that, let's look at the question. So this picture shows the water cycle. Which of the processes is driven by the sun's heat? So which of those 4 words has to have sun in order to happen? Raising your digital hand. Okay, Kara, which one of those has to have the sun to happen?
Evaporation.
Evaporation, very good. Okay, which would be, we said evaporation is C, correct? Okay, all right, last question. Oh, well, look at this again. The sun drives the water cycle by doing which of the following? Brielle, what do you think?
Providing heat for evaporation.
Absolutely. That's the only answer choice up there that even talks about the water cycle, isn't it? Okay, so one thing I do want to point out, the sun does not rotate on its axis. Okay, the sun does not have an axis. The earth does, but the sun does not. Okay, now, does the sun give off light for plants? Absolutely. But is that part of the water cycle? No. Okay, and does the sun help keep Earth in orbit? We're going to table that question for in 2 weeks when we start talking about planets. Okay? All right. So I'm going to submit my quiz, which if you guys did it the right way, we should have all gotten 100. Not sure what's going on with that. That's weird. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to